Information overload is defined by James Gleick as apathy, indifference, or mental exhaustion arising from exposure to too much information. Information overload exists because of information technology, which are systems for the representation, communication, storage, and retrieval of information. When people hear information technology, they immediately think of computers and the internet, and many believe that information overload is a recent problem brought about by the digital age. However, information technology goes back millennia. It's strange to think of something as rudimentary as writing as information technology, but that's exactly what it is, a system created by humans for the communication, storage, and retrieval of information. As long as humans have been able to write stuff down, they have made too much information for any one individual to process. Throughout literate history, humans have developed more and more efficient ways to create, record, and store information. We progressed from chiseling messages in stone to writing them down on sheets made of papyrus pulp. We created libraries to organize and store the information. The institution of universities and the creation of the printing press helped shape the modern world of information by making knowledge far more accessible than ever before, followed much more recently by the telephone, radio, and television. Every one of these steps greatly increased the amount of information, much more than anyone could ever hope to consume. Information overload ran rampant in literate culture, long before humans had electricity. The internet is just the most recent in a long line of information technology advancements, but it has undoubtedly had the fastest and most sizable impact on the amount of human information. The internet as we know it allows for the very easy creation and publication of user content. This means that for the first time in history, anyone can share their thoughts, pictures, and informational videos with the world, regardless of how boring or undesired that content is. This new ability is exponentially increasing the amount of stored information. It's difficult to calculate just how much information is out there. There are conflicting reports on the exact amount of data, but a conservative number I found says 2.7 zettabytes. Visualizing this much information is very difficult for our brains. The book War and Peace is about 2 megabytes worth of data. 2.7 zettabytes would be 1.3 times 10 to the 15 copies of War and Peace. Assuming each book is about 6 inches thick, you could stack them all the way to Pluto and back 13 times. There's no denying the fact that there is just too much information to handle. Important emails get buried under spam. Valuable information gets washed away in a tsunami of nonsense. Incessant noise drowns out the things we need to hear most. Information overload causes anxiety, apathy, poor decision-making, shortened attention spans, and difficulty remembering. What can save us from this biblical flood of information overload? Filters are the answer. Filters are like huge dams, holding back the oceans of information. Filters narrow down the incomprehensible amount of data into manageable drips of digestible information. Throughout the long history of information overload, filters have worked behind the scenes, striving to deliver relevant, true, and desired information. In days of old, filters came in the form of librarians deciding which scrolls to buy for their libraries, writers discerning what verified information should go in their biology textbook, editors sifting through the good and bad stories for their newspapers, and movie producers picking a script from a pile to make into a movie. These traditional filters were all controlled by veritable authorities in their fields. Modern filters, such as Google Search, the subreddits you subscribe to, the Twitter users you follow, your Facebook feed, your Pinterest pins, whatever people do on Tumblr, and your favorite YouTube channels. The biggest difference is that instead of relying on authorities to provide true, relevant information, these filters are all determined by you and actively tailored to your personal preferences. Algorithms on these platforms track your daily habits and show you content that pertains to your interest, helping you navigate the ocean of information with efficiency. While these filters allow us to survive information overload, there is a dark side. They put you in a filter bubble, your personal sphere of media that only presents you content it knows you want to see, and avoids showing you anything trivial or contrary to your opinions. All the while, these platforms use this valuable knowledge of your interests to feed you personalized ads and maximize their profits. To my knowledge, there really aren't any viable alternatives to using these manipulative web platforms. Without them, you'd be alone, unprotected against the hurricane of information. To the other extreme, complete ignorance and apathy is no way to go through life. So what can be done? In my opinion, the best we can do is stay cautious and aware of the media presented to us through filters. Keep an open mind and seek new viewpoints you never considered. That's a lot to ask, but I really think it's the only way to avoid being trapped in a closed-minded filter bubble while still using the internet and avoiding information overload. In the meantime, install a good ad blocker and stay positive. I'm Maxton Phil, and this has been my SI-110 InfoMaven 1. Thanks for watching.